What is the one non-negotiable that one should look for when choosing a home? Is it the kind of colors they want? What kind of a mood they're going for? What is the first thing you've got to sit down and just pencil out?
So when I see, when the client comes to me first, I always ask about their lifestyle. Obviously, how big is your family? What is your routine? Sometimes people say that, they wake up at 6. Sometimes people say they wake up at 10. They like to cook or they don't like to cook. So that determines a lot of things for me. So if you like to cook, for example, obviously the kitchen becomes a very big heart of the home. But if you don't, and if it's a serviced sort of a thing, so I always look at spaces. It has to concern your lifestyle. And whether you have a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom or whatever size of house or apartment you have, it's very important that that movement is chartered. Once that movement is chartered, obviously when you're buying an apartment, I'll ask you to buy something with a lot of light coming in. If you can't have it, fine. All apartments are not the same, but I would love that every space has a window, the ventilation is right, and then we consider the flow of the space and how many people are living in a room. Today a lot of times the rooms are becoming so multifunctional, and you've seen that during COVID as well. You've seen that, everybody needs a study, everybody needs a space to work from.
Yes.
And people want their quiet little spaces as well. So a lot of things determine the flow of the space. But if you're talking about a particular style, that Masoom says, I love whites, or I love a particular style, that would be a great hint to bring to the interior designer. So if you are thinking of hiring an interior designer, what should you tell the interior designer? First, tell her how you live. Tell her about your lifestyle. Then tell her or him about your preferences or things you don't like. Once we at least get to know that much about you, then we can visualize something more. Then we can say, okay, Masoom, I think this is a style I'd like to do for you, or this is a style I'd like to propose, and see how that goes. And obviously there has to be a flow in the house.
So everyone today, and I feel like especially in this generation, opts for very modern kind of looks. I think that's the trend of the season, the trend of the generation. How do you design a home that doesn't look like everyone else's?
You have to be unique in your... honestly, today, if you look at what's happening world over, people are actually looking to be, at least more evolved people are actually looking to be more unique in their own taste and to show a little more of your own personality. And I encourage it a lot. I encourage you to put out your personal collections. One of my clients, for example, who knew collects old coins. And I'm like, okay, why is it sitting in a cupboard? She said, but who puts out coins? I said, I'll frame it for you.
How lovely.
Yeah, I've always framed, for years, I've always framed their old shawls. And I've used this as artwork behind the bed or even in a corridor. Jamivars look the most stunning on walls. Forget it wrapped around you. Brocade pallus, saris. We use a lot of textile. I love it. And then, I was doing somebody's office the other day. I'm like, come on, there must be some memorabilia you have. They pulled out a newspaper, 1947, the partition, the day, like the first newspaper. And I'm like, you've got this, can't I frame it? What are you doing with it? Oh, Dad had kept this. And I'm thinking, wow, what memorabilia. So, you need to ask the right questions, hopefully get them to understand that, look, Also, people, with all this contemporary Western flavors, I think we were shy, or a whole bunch of people got shy pulling out or even accepting their heritage and their culture. So I was designing a Marwari house. I know the lady likes to sit cross-legged. And she said, well, Mirko, I want that sofa, which has to be a particular height because I can't sit otherwise. And I'm like, why shouldn't we design a divan? Like, what is wrong with you sitting in a divan? No, kaun rakhta hai, in the living room, who would put out a divan? I'm like, I would put out a divan. I think it'll look fantastic.
Absolutely.
And you know something, Masoom? Etro does a divan-style sofa. Come on. And they've been doing it for years. And with our paisley pattern. What's wrong with us?
And kind of being able to, I think, embrace.
Embrace it, accept it, understand who you are. I mean, there's so much. There's so much you can do. I remember when I was setting up my home in the coffee estate, which is in Coorg, I was doing a little bit of research on furniture, which it's colonial furniture. But then I said, let me do my own thing about it. So you had these colonial couches, and then I said, but you always need place to put out a drink. So I made these little couches with these little pull-out trays just to hold the drink. And then I realized that in the planters' chairs, you always would have a pull-out tray to put a cup of tea or coffee in it. And I'm like, this was always there. So it's not that, you just have to think back and look back. And I think being in, when you design your own space, or when you live in your own space, and then now nostalgia has hit big time. So everybody wants, my grandma had this, or my grandfather had this, and I want to live like this. I've seen so many houses which look so old world and charming. I think that modern, the clean modern look, at least is moving on. Definitely, and I'm so happy.
I agree. I think it is as well. But how do you ensure that your home doesn't look like everybody else's? Right? I'm taking you back to this question because there's someone who's sitting in a space. What is it? I think you spoke to us about it, but is it really finding what's unique to you and finding ways to display that?
Yes. You need to it needs to be personalized. It needs to be personalized. It doesn't need to look like your neighbor's house or your friend's house. Forget about all that. Just forget about it. Wipe that out of your mind. It needs to be you, your family, what things mean to you, stories about you, travel stories, stories from your childhood, where you grew up, or your own individual sense of style. If I see Masoom wearing this beautiful kurta with a little bit of handwork, I don't understand why you wouldn't have 3 cushions or a throw which looks like this. It'll look fabulous.
Yes.
Why would you just pick up a chenille sofa and just leave it like that? Dress it up the way you dress yourself up. That's the easiest way you can think about it.